Today, I'm going to reveal a room that I have been too embarrassed to show in any video before. I call it the small bedroom, and my husband refers to it as the ironing board room. But what it really is the room where old furniture and pillows come to die.
Do you have a bedroom that feels more like a closet than a cozy retreat? Well, you're not alone. In this video, we'll tackle a small bedroom makeover, transforming it from a cluttered mess to a comfortable and stylish space. We'll utilize 6 design hacks that make spaces look brighter, bigger, and oh so beautiful, all on a thrift store budget. So, let's get started and create the small bedroom of our dreams. Rule number 1 when decorating a small room is to use light colors to create the illusion of a larger space. But before painting, I needed to spackle over the numerous nail and screw holes. And don't forget to remove old plastic anchors and spackle over those holes too. When the spackle is dry, lightly sand over the spots. Even if you scraped off all of the extra spackle with your putty knife, you may see those spots if you don't take the time to sand them before painting. I couldn't wait to get rid of the gray walls. I chose a buttery white paint to really brighten up the space. I have a system when painting a room that I think is quite efficient. First, I tape off the top of the baseboards. This is usually the only thing I tape off. I use a good quality brush to paint along the baseboard and around any obstructions and over any spackled spots. Then I roll the lower half of the wall. Next, I use my brush to paint along the ceiling line and then roll the top half of the wall. I repeat this process as I move around the room. For the second coat, I usually only need to use the roller, just touching up with the brush as needed. I remove the painter's tape along the baseboard as soon as I finish applying the second coat. I also remove and paint the air vent covers so that they blend in with the wall and are less noticeable. The room was feeling brighter and bigger already, but I couldn't just paint a room white and call it done. There must be wallpaper, and it must be a William Morris pattern. In fact, I chose his most popular design, the Strawberry Thief, which you often see in bold blue and red colors. But for this small space, I chose a pattern in shades of ivory, green, and pink. I ordered 2 rolls of peel and stick wallpaper from Amazon. These rolls were extra long, but also only 18 inches wide, which is narrower than most wallpaper. Although I ended up with more seams, it was much easier to handle and honestly, the easiest wallpaper I've ever hung. Since the wallpaper pattern is small, I didn't need to line up the pattern in the center of the wall. So to make it easy on myself, I lined up the first piece with the corner. After cutting the first strip of wallpaper a few inches longer than I needed, I sprayed the wall with Easy Hang. This product allows you the extra time to adjust the wallpaper in place and also provides extra adhesion, so the wallpaper stays stuck to the wall until you're ready to take it down. I personally will never hang peel and stick wallpaper again without using this product. Pull off the backing paper a little at a time as you work your way down the wall, using a wallpaper brush to smooth it out as you go. Once the entire strip is adhered, go back over the entire piece with a plastic wallpaper scraper to remove any remaining air bubbles or wrinkles. This also assures that the wallpaper is firmly adhered to the wall. Then use the scraper and a utility knife to cut off the extra paper along the baseboard and ceiling line. Be sure to frequently snap off the end of your blade so you have a fresh blade for each new piece of wallpaper. A dull blade may cause the paper to rip or tear. Once I lined up the pattern and cut the second strip of wallpaper, to save time, I cut out several more identical strips. If you use this shortcut, just make sure the pattern lines up at the top of each strip. Because I was papering a wall with no windows or doors, this went really quickly. The only thing I had to cut around was one outlet, and I just papered over it and then cut it out. In small rooms, try to avoid using bulky furniture that can overwhelm the space. I chose a full-size bed that was a thrift store find from several years ago. It's been in my basement storage room since my son left for college and took the mattress and box springs with him. You might be thinking the black bed clashes with the muted colors of the wallpaper, and I agree that a white or ivory bed would be cottagey cute. But I don't want the room to look too sweet, and black works with almost any color palette. Black can add depth to a room and act as a grounding element that balances and complements other colors. I mentioned my son took the mattress and box springs for this bed with him to college. In fact, we had to cut the box springs in half with a sawzall to get it up the narrow staircase of his rental house. Let's just say I don't recommend doing that. This time instead, I ordered a mattress foundation from Lull. It comes in a box and consists of only 7 pieces that easily snap together with no screws or bolts, and you just saw me assemble it in no time at all. Have you heard of Lull mattresses? They come in a box with handles that was easy for my husband and I to carry up the stairs. And once the box was on the bed, I was able to set up the mattress all by myself. Warning, be prepared when you cut through that last layer of plastic. I didn't have mine arranged properly just yet. I love a soft mattress, but my back needs a mattress with support. And I found that Lull is the perfect mix of comfort and support. And Lull mattresses are designed with motion isolation. So if your partner or your pets are restless sleepers like mine, you can still sleep soundly.
Buying a new mattress doesn't have to be difficult or stressful. Lull has a lifetime warranty and a 365-night trial. So you can easily return your mattress if at any time during the first year you are not 100% satisfied. And right now is the perfect time to give Lull a try because they are offering an amazing deal for my viewers. Just use the link in the description box below.
This armoire is the kind of oversized furniture you want to avoid in a small space. But I'm going to try to make it work because it currently houses all my extra blankets and curtains. I really didn't want to have to paint it, but I just dislike the orange hue of the wood so much. So I quickly gave it a couple coats of chalk paint. Before painting, the only prep I did was to clean the cabinet and remove the knobs. However, I leave the screws and tape them on the back side to hold them in place so I can grab the screw end to open and close the doors as I paint. I gave it 2 coats, and when the paint was dry, I sanded over the entire piece using a sanding block. You really do need to sand over chalk paint if you want a smooth finish. Next, I brushed on watered-down antiquing wax. The Rust-Oleum chalk paint quickly absorbs the wax, So, to avoid an overly dark look, I immediately wiped away the excess wax with a damp cloth. I made sure the paint and wax were dry, and then I brushed paste wax over the entire cabinet. I let the wax cure overnight, and the next day I polished it, rubbing it with a microfiber cloth until I could see a waxy sheen. Now, let's go thrift shopping for some unique decor. Personal touches add visual interest that make a space feel more inviting and comfortable, so your brain is tricked and doesn't notice how small the room is. This small thrift store donates its profits each month to a different local charity, which I love. I find some really unique vintage and antique items here at great prices, like this floral ashtray and this 1951 trophy. You know I love me some Currier and Ives. And how cute are these vintage Easter toys? I was trying to stay focused on items that I could actually use in the bedroom. I wonder if I could find some embroidered pillowcases to use on the bed. I would have bought this chair, but I already had one that I thought would work well in the room. But I did need a small side table, and I just couldn't pass this one up for only $2. Once I got it home, I gave it a good cleaning and began re-gluing all the joints with wood glue. I'm pretty sure the table is a genuine antique because it was mostly assembled with dowel rods and glue and not screws or nails. One spindle was missing a chunk, so I cut off a piece of JB Weld quickwood, kneaded the two parts of the product together, and then molded it into the broken area. I let it dry overnight, and the next day the table was perfectly sturdy. Initially, I had thought I would paint the table, but once I realized it was an antique, I decided to just clean it up with furniture refinisher and fine steel wool. This removes minor stains and scratches. Next, I applied feed-in wax, which contains oils that penetrate and condition dry wood. Although you can stain quickwood repair putty, I knew I could match the wood color better if I just painted it. I'll also make sure this spot is turned to the back wall. I decided to move the armoire next to the door where you won't see it from the hallway, making the room appear larger. So to compensate, I did not center the bed on the wall. Instead, I just left a narrow walkway between the bed and the window wall, and I placed a small thrift store table on that side of the bed in place of a nightstand or larger table. This created more space on the other side of the bed for the antique table and the DIY bird lamp from last week's video. And I placed a small vintage wicker basket under the table to hold books and magazines. I did get lucky and found some embroidered pillowcases, and they're king size, and I only paid $3.50 for the pair. I also found this crocheted throw blanket for $1.50. Well, I think it might just be a shawl, but in any case, it looks cute across this old thrift store chair. I think this might be the fanciest ashtray I have ever seen. I thrifted this large water pitcher for $5. I did some research, and the Wheeling Pottery Company closed in 1923, so this has to be at least 100 years old. I placed the pitcher on the small round table and filled it full of faux pink peonies. I also added a cute rabbit figurine. And every bedroom needs a clock, even though this one doesn't work. My light switch and outlet plates were silver, So I applied some antique gold rub and buff to the outer edges. And then I cut a small section of the leftover wallpaper and applied it to the center sections. I used a utility knife to cut away the excess paper. And to cut out the openings, I cut several slits through the paper and then folded the small pieces of paper over to the back side. I love how these turned out. Moving on to the walls, I chose these DIY pressed flowers to hang above the bed. I think the flowers look nice next to the wallpaper, and the black frames add a third black item to the room in addition to the bed and the round table. 3 to 5 black elements in a room creates a more balanced look. I didn't end up buying the framed Currier and Ives print, but I did buy this set of 4 Currier and Ives plates for $4.99. To hang them, I'm using small brass plate hangers. You can buy these from Walmart or Amazon for just $1 or $2. To make sure I hung the plates in a straight line, I used a level to draw a vertical pencil line on the wall. Then I measured and marked where to place the nails so the plates would be equally spaced out. I just use a white eraser to remove my pencil marks when I'm done. Oddly enough, I just eyeballed the placement of the nails when I hung these 2 miniature framed florals. Next, I wanted to create some interesting wall decor for the wall next to the window using this weird thrift store shelf. I think this was handmade, but I'm not sure what its original purpose was because the shelves are too narrow to hold much of anything. Before attaching it to the wall, I screwed on 4 rope hooks so that I could at least hang some things from it, and then I gave it a good polishing with some feed-in wax. To attach it to the wall, I rested a level across the top shelf and used a pencil to mark where to place my nails. Then I began playing around with some of my thrift store finds and other things I had around the house to create a pleasing arrangement. Although it looks like it's resting on the shelf, I hung a vintage picture from a nail because I didn't want to risk it getting knocked off and broken. I couldn't resist adding this tiny wicker basket of flowers that I thrifted for only 50 cents. Hopefully, you don't need blackout drapes in your small room and can instead use light and airy drapes that allow natural light to filter through. This is another great hack for making small rooms feel brighter and more spacious. Another great trick for making small rooms feel bigger and brighter is to incorporate mirrors. This works especially well if you strategically place the mirrors to bounce light around the room. Since the armoire is opposite the window, I decided to hang a mirror directly on one of the front doors. I needed to use sturdy hanging hardware, so I disguised it with a velvet bow. Then, to create a more balanced look, I added a rectangular piece of wall decor to the other door. I thrifted this small vintage mirror meant for a tabletop, but I wanted to hang it on the wall above the side table to reflect the lamplight, so I ran some velvet ribbon through the plastic frame to create a hanger.
I'm not embarrassed of this guest bedroom anymore. In fact, I can't wait to show you around.
hope you'll let me know what you thought of this small bedroom makeover. And if you enjoy videos like this, here's another one I think you'll like.